Chapter 151, Demonstration of Rocket Launcher. Another new weapon. The second prince turned curious and observed the weapon. If the previous weapons looked like wolves, this one looked like a mammoth. It's very bulky and looked heavy too. But in reality, it was only 14 kilograms, courtesy of titanium and aluminum alloy. Mark ignored his presence and walked a few steps to the left and aimed at one of the rocks about 50 meters away. His fingers caressed the 3 triggers before making a decision and clicking on the middle one. Bang! A 7.9 bullet escaped the upper barrel and pierced the rock like a flash of lightning, while its case fell on the ground. Meanwhile, Mark's hands shook a bit due to the recoil. It's faster than that tungsten pellet. The second made a quick judgment, comparing it to the shotgun he witnessed during the previous demonstration. Mark took a deep breath and clicked on the right trigger. Bang! This time, a shotgun pellet was fired by the gun and made a fist-sized hole out of the sturdy rock. Okay, one last thing. Mark grabbed it tightly and clicked on the left trigger. Bang bang! A 4-beam grenade was fired by both of the grenade launchers at the same time. Mark was pushed back a few feet but managed to stand straight. Both of them hit the rock and detonated upon contact, right away. Boom boom! 2 big explosions were witnessed by the second prince, blowing up the rock and its 10-meter surroundings. Some of the rock fragments flew towards both of them, but did no damage as Elena shielded Mark, while the second prince had a tough body. Okay, I'm done. Mark quickly realized that he didn't receive any notification from the system. He confronted the system. Only then did he understand that he didn't test the weapon properly like he used to do in his previous life. The test includes maximum effective range check, absolute range check, full capacity ammo check, and mobility check. Since it will time for that, he placed it back into the inventory and took out the rocket launcher before looking at the client. This is the one you want me to demonstrate, right? He asked the prince. This and the other weapons if you have anything new. The second prince gave him a little bit of surprise with his reply. A bright smile appeared on Mark as he nodded. All right. Mark put down the rocket launcher and opened the inventory. He took out a falling block rifle, M99 sniper rifle, and lastly, the grenade launcher. Your Highness, you have already know about these 2. Let me introduce the remaining 2. Mark picked up the falling block rifle. He knew that it won't interest the prince, but since the latter asked, Mark gave the details about it. As expected, the prince wasn't impressed by a single-shot rifle, which can only harm 2 circle enemies. The prince felt that those handguns are better for they are light and easy to carry unlike these. Mark then showed him the grenade launcher, which has a cylindrical chamber for 8 rounds. This is an exclusive weapon. As per the rules of the store at present, you haven't made enough transactions to buy these, but in case you made a large order in the future, let me give you a briefing. I don't have any extra grenades, so I couldn't show you an exact demonstration, but you have seen it earlier. Since we use the same ammo, this one's power is identical, capable of eradicating everyone under 5 circle. Its range is about 200 meters, but if you don't worry about accuracy, you can shoot as far as 500 meters. As Shang Wen nodded seriously indicating that he understood, Mark picked up the rocket launcher, which he was confident in selling to the prince. As I have said before, this one is a rocket launcher with code named PZF-3, it's 600. Mark carried it on his left arm before taking out a heat warhead from the inventory and loading it from the front. He then placed it on the shoulder and looked into the scope. His finger is on the trigger as he said, Your Highness, as I informed you yesterday, it has an effective range of 400 meters and an absolute range of 600 meters. Do you wish to see its range or its prowess? Earlier you saw how that 3-meter rock was exploded. The effect will almost be similar, a bit less to be honest, but covers a wider range. Can I trust your words? The second prince threw a question in response. Demonstration is needed because of the lack of trust, Your Highness, Mark said in a calm tone. He further said, we aren't close enough to trust each other. All we can do is mutually benefit from each other. You receive the weapons and I receive the money. You misunderstand my words, I don't mean that. The second prince shook his head. As Mark looked at him in confusion, the second prince let out a sigh. Forget it. I'll put everything into defense. I'll give a signal when I'm ready. What do you mean by that? Mark didn't understand his words at first, but then, as the second prince sprouted his fire wings and flew away towards the direction where the gun is pointing, he finally realized the meaning. The prince landed about 300 meters away from Mark, and then took out the flaming sword as well as conjured a 3-layered ether wall before him before a fireball shot from his hand. It flew into the sky and exploded. You don't need to be so careful, though, Mark mumbled and put his eye near the scope. With a 10x zoom feature, he felt as if the prince was standing 30 meters away. He clicked on the trigger. The 100 mHEAT warhead shot from the rocket launcher, and due to his positioning, he felt little recoil. With a speed of less than 160 ms, the warhead only took a couple of seconds to reach the barrier and struck it, causing an explosion. However, not even a scratch appeared on the barrier. It was as if someone threw a chicken egg on a sturdy steel wall. Okay, the second prince nodded and dismissed everything before he flew back for about another 100 meters and gave a signal once again. Bang! Mark shot another warhead at the unarmed prince without hesitation. As the warhead is quite slow, the second prince caught it, at least attempted, but the heat warhead was programmed to be detonated on the first contact. It wasn't focused on the armor pierce, followed by detonation. The explosion occurred at close range. The fragments pierced his skin here and there, but only caused minor injuries. Mark then saw the prince close his eyes and pushed out all the fragments and healed himself pretty quick. This was one of the powers of Exalt Realm, 7 Circle. They can just use ether energy to heal themselves. Good, in the hands of my subordinates, this weapon will, As he was admiring the potential of these rocket launchers that can shoot a target from hundreds of meters away, he saw Mark change the weapon to M99, place it on the stand, and go into a lying position. Looking at the prince through the scope, Mark mumbled, "Suddenly, I feel the urge to shoot at his eyes." Chapter 152. A deal of 30,000 gold coins. Shang Wen heavily resembles the emperor, whether it is the appearance of the personality. As Mark met the emperor during the public trial, he couldn't help but remember his biological father when he looked at the prince. His inner devil from the heart kept whispering in his head to click the trigger and injure one of his eyes. On the other hand, the inner devil from the brain tells that it is a foolish choice because he is a potential golden goose that will make him richer. Mark went into a dilemma for a few seconds. The second prince saw that Mark was hesitating to shoot and misunderstood that the latter was waiting for the signal. He shoots out a fireball and lets it explode in the air. Nah, let's not do that. Mark's ambition for developing the store outweighed his revenge for the imperial family. So, he threw away an opportunity to ambush the second prince and continued with the demonstration. Of course, there are other reasons too. It is because the person is the second prince, Shang Wen. If it is someone else, it would be different. The crown prince dragged him to the public trial with false allegations adding to his crimes. The queen consort sacrificed him for the sake of her prestige. Of course, the emperor is an indirect reason for her action. Bai Zun isn't an imperial prince, but he is a part of the imperial family as he married the emperor's younger sister. He is forever loyal to the throne and wouldn't hesitate to kill him if it's an order from the emperor. So, he can be considered as an enemy too. But the second prince is different from them. Not only Shang Wen understands his personality very well, but even publicly showed his support. He is also known for being a righteous and straightforward character. Adding on top of that, this prince is a potential client that can solve his worries about completing the quests. Mark had a good impression of the second prince and wouldn't mind being an ally. Bang! He finally shot at the chest of the prince, which did nothing but still. The latter was surprised not only by how fast this 0.5 caliber 12-7 ammunition had struck him even from a half kilometer away, but also with Mark's skills. especially his accuracy with both rocket launcher and this sniper rifle. Once might be a coincidence, but striking him twice is a skill. A thought appeared in his head. Meanwhile, Mark stood up on his feet and gestured with his hand to come over. As the prince returned to the rock formations within a minute of flying, Mark then spoke. "These are the new weapons I currently possess. Apart from the weapons, I have different types of explosive devices known as grenades. Like one of them release smoke to cover you. One of them explodes. One of them stun the enemies. One of them bring tears and skin irritation. And one of them just releases fires." Oh, the second prince was listening to his explanation carefully. When he heard the explanations, he could instantly guess how they will be useful to their army. He was looking forward to the next demo. But then, Mark's next sentence disappointed him. "I didn't have them with me to show you the demo. By the time you return to the Imperial City again, the first batch of those explosive devices might arrive at the store." Mark finished his explanation and proceeded to ask him about his decision. Shang Wen had already decided on what to do with them. He replied, "I'll be straight with you. The newly created firearms division is facing a lot of issues while training with just the gun. Before I bring in the commoners, I'm experimenting with spirit warriors in my army because even in the case of self-hurting, they would be fine as the bullets don't do that much damage. However, now, you demonstrated weapons, which are of higher grade and more powerful. In this case, to complete the training, we might need one experienced person to train our troops." Mark didn't like where this is going. He felt like the prince would ask for Elena. If that is the case, were his words just straightforward like his character known in public, or whether he was just aiming for her just like other lustful nobles. But then, as he patiently listened to his proposal until the end, Mark realized that he just misunderstood and sighed in relief that he did a good thing to be patient. "So, let me get this straight. I'll stay 7 days with your regiment and train one of your soldiers. In return, you'll purchase 20 M99 sniper rifles, 10 rocket launchers, 10 grenade launchers, and their respective ammo 100 in number per firearm. And once your firearm division gets approval, you will increase those numbers to at least 5 times. But whenever you buy a new weapon in bulk number, I will have to train one soldier for 3 days to 1 week." Mark said to him with his heart beating rapidly in excitement due to the result of calculations. "And that required number for your services will be decided by a negotiation between us." The second prince added another clause, which favors Mark. After calculating the total amount, Mark then said, going into a merchant mode, "Each M99 will cost 250 gold coins, and each 12.7 round costs 1 gold coin. The stand is free. Each PZF-3 IT-600 rocket launcher will cost 1,000 gold coins, and each 110 heat warhead costs 5 gold coins. Each grenade launcher will cost 300 gold coins, and each 40 grenade costs 5 gold coins. This deal will cost you a total of 30,000 gold coins. Our store has an offer where the customers will get 10% additional ammunition if they buy 100 or more. So, you will get 110 of each type of ammunition in return. For an advanced order, a minimum of 20% of the full amount should be paid up front. So, that's 6,000 gold coins. As for the delivery rate, you can pick up everything from the store a week after my return. To be safe, either you have to come personally to pick them up, or it should be the most trusted person of you, like for example, the one who I will train. If this is okay with you, please prepare a contract during my stay here." 30,000, huh? The second prince thought for a bit and nodded. "All right, it will be done. Now that we're finished with the demonstration of new firearms, I'm returning to the campsite." The second prince was never the one who sugarcoated his words or actions. He came here to meet the weapon seller for something. He was finished, and he expressed his intentions to return to the camp without wasting the time. But Mark wasn't done with his demands yet. He stopped him. "Wait a second, Your Highness. I have something else to speak." The second prince, who was about to fly away, looked at him curiously. "What is it?" Mark let out a smile and replied, "The dungeon break. I want to give another live demonstration, a practical one against the beasts. I need the cooperation of you and your soldiers." Upon hearing the plan, Shang Wen furrowed his brows, a barrier. Chapter 153, Chimera's GM. As the second prince left for the campsite to make preparations for the upcoming dungeon break, in case Mark would mess up with his plans, the latter sat down on the ground and started creating the required ammunition. "Okay, I'm done with the preparations." Mark nodded with a smile on his face and took out his weapon from the inventory. In an instant, he felt the weight. Judging by the recoil I felt during the first weapon testing, I don't think my current physique will support the machine gun that just needs a couple of seconds to empty out the magazine. Why worry about the after effects now? I already had the taste of weapon testing. Let her do it. After loading it, the weight increased by a few kilograms. It became heavier. He quickly handed it to his beautiful assistant. "You know the requirements to clear the trial. Do it." Elena nodded and followed the procedure with the weapon testing. About 5 minutes later. "Ding, you have completed all the tests. Place the weapon in the factory tab to receive assessment results." He opened the character menu and clicked on Mark's factory. There was an extra option that appeared after he assembled the weapon for the first time. Mark's factory. Level 1. Available machines: a drill press 1, a welder 1, a milling machine 1, and a lathe 1. Available time: 6 minutes max, 30 min. Cooldown 24 hours. Weapon analysis. Go. Every 24 hours, he can only spend 30 minutes of time in the factory. That's why he didn't spend too much time there apart from designing the weapon and giving the materials to the robot. During the rest of the time, the robot will work in the background. Mark clicked on Weapon Analysis. A circle appeared on a new window. As soon as the weapon touched the screen, it disappeared from his hands and appeared as an image in the circle. He pressed Confirm. The circle started to spin. After nearly 30 seconds of deep analysis, it stopped and a result appeared in a new window. Name NA. Type Fusion. Grade NA. Weight 14.3 kg. Barrel lengths 28.5 in, 43 in, 15.1 in, 15.1 inches. Muzzle velocity 1, 688 ms machine gun. Muzzle velocity 2, 396 ms shotgun. Muzzle velocity 3, 154 ms grenade launcher. Muzzle velocity 4, 154 ms grenade launcher. Maximum effective range 352 m. Absolute range 635 m. RPM machine gun 775. RPM shotgun 63. Description: a 14.3 kg fusion weapon capable of inflicting damage on 5 circle or below enemies. Ammo required: 7, 9 mmx 57 mm 12 gauge and 40 grenade. Recommend stats: 1 SDR. Systems rating: 8.6. Comment: the weapon is up to the standards of the system. It can be sold to the customers. Followed by the new window with results, a series of notifications arrived from the system. Ding, you completed the main quest II. Ding, you unlocked Assistant Robot Rank 1. Check the gallery for details. Ding, you unlocked Weapon Testing Grounds. Ding, you earned 1,000 experience. Ding, Mark's factory leveled up. Ding, you unlocked the flashlight. Check the gallery for details. Ding, Mark's factory leveled up. Ding, you unlocked the laser sighting system. Check the gallery for details. Ding, you received an emergency quest. Make it public. Emergency quest. He clicked on the notification as his curiosity took over his happiness of a successful result. He already knew about the experience beforehand, so he was a bit less interested in that when compared to a sudden quest. After all, emergency quests always give wonderful rewards. Quest: make it public. Description: sell the prototype to the system in order to make the weapon available for the public. Reward: 10,000 credits, weapon unlock. I can do that. Mark didn't expect that he can sell the model to the system so that it can replicate it and sell it through the store. Until now, he had an assumption that the system might have some infinite storage filled with all the weapons that will be unlocked as he complete the equipment, but now, it was clear that the system can mass-produce the new weapons that are created by him. This made him go back to his first impression. Can the system make the weapons out of thin air? Mark knew that he won't get the answer to that from the system, so why should he waste the time and even get lectured in return? Putting his thoughts aside, he just accepted the quest and confirmed with the system. Ding, as the creator you can name it. At first, Mark wanted to name it Tigan 3, but then, as he realized that it was different from the original model, he thought for a while and said, "System, I name it Chimera SGM. Let this be the start of the Chimera series." Ding, Chimera SGM has been added to gallery. A price tag has been added. Ding, Chimera SGM Ether has been added to the gallery. A price tag has been added. Ding, you completed the emergency quest. Ding, you unlocked Chimera SGM. Check out the gallery for the details. Ding, you received 10,000 credits as a reward. There's an Ether version too. Mark was visibly surprised by the system's action. Great, now let's see how much it costs. Mark opened the gallery right away and clicked on the normal weapon. His eyes lit up when he saw the price. Whoa, 1,600 gold coins. That's the highest so far, well, if I exclude the howitzer. Now, let's see the Ether one. There was an identical image beside the weapon, but is grayed out. In excitement, he forgot that he cannot see the details of locked weapons and clicked on them. Only after the reminder from the system did he realize the situation and just ask the system directly. Before the system replies to upgrade it to know the details, he added, "I think it's fair for the creator to know the price and the details. Don't you think so, system? After all, you follow the law of exchange and fairness." There was a brief silence from the system as if it was thinking about it. After a few seconds, he received a befitting reply. Ding, the host has yet to unlock any ether weapons, so it is not fair to let know of the details of an ether weapon even if the host is the creator. The host will be informed after the first unlock of an ether weapon. Damn it! Mark's face turned red in embarrassment. He thought he could trap the system using its own words, but unfortunately, it outwitted him. All right, you win. Chapter 154. Mark goes on a shopping spree. System, open character stats. Name, Lu Zhen Mark Spencer. Rank 5. Strength 0.5. Intelligence 5.2. Defense 1.2. Agility 1.6. Vitality 2.1. Resistance 1.1. Charisma 9. Luck 7. Bloodline Blizzard Pegasus. Attribute Lightning Ice. Spirit Path Summoner. Ether Quality Low. Ether Energy 2014. Special Skills Ultimate Defense I, Ultimate Defense II Thunder Blast. Bloodline Skills Absolute Freezing Ice Bolt. Assistants 2 Alan Spencer, Elena Spencer. Lifespan Limit 175, 150 years left. Available credits 74,350. Net worth 136,670 gold coins, 24 silver coins. Total debt 31,586 gold coins, 1582 ether crystals low. Skills Active Dismantling. Dismantle any object that belongs to the host and exchange it in equivalent credits. Sage Eyes allows the user to inspect any non-living thing or living thing and find their details. Thunderblast summon a lightning bolt from the heavens to strike down the enemy with 150% attack power. Cost 50% ether. CD 60 min. Passive Ultimate Defense I. By default, the store is invincible under the heavens and cannot be damaged by anyone under the demigod realm. Ultimate Defense II. Within the store, the host cannot be harmed by anyone under the demigod realm. The host cannot also be dragged outside against his will. Bloodline Skills Absolute freezing. Freeze your surroundings for 120 seconds. Range 200 m. Cost 10,000 EP. CD 30 min. Ice Bolt. Conjure any number of ice spears with your ether energy at any time to launch them at your enemies with 100% power. Anything that gets pierced will be frozen. Cost 20% ether. CD 0 sec. Note: user can launch only one spear. Range 200 m. Available weapons for sale. Single-shot pistol, revolver, P365 10 rounds, P226 20 rounds, RIP-9 light tank Est, KFZ. Panzer, 8 types of grenade, falling block rifle, contender, M99 sniper rifle, rocket launcher PZF-3 IT-600, self-propelled howitzer PZH-2000, Chimera SMG. Available ammo for sale. 9mm, RIP-9 7.9 12 gauge, 0.5 BMG, 0.204 caliber, 40 110 heat warhead, 7.62 155 heat. 74,000, that many credits, how did I miss this? Mark gasped in shock when he saw the stats. He started recollecting his recent memories. Ah, that's right. I got 8K from a recent breakthrough then, 5K from tamming the legendary realm Beast King, another 50K from acquiring a Beast Emperor from that egg, and 10K credits from this emergency. Let's use them for something. Just a few hundred credits more and I can buy an advanced attribute. With 75K credits, I can buy space attribute. Who knows, I can even receive a beast that lets me teleport to Imperial City directly. Or maybe, in the future, once I acquire a unique skill from the lottery wheel, I can probably travel to other realms. At first, Mark was excited at that thought, but then, he threw away such fantasy thoughts and returned to reality. Let's be practical. I should buy something that will help me get stronger, not add another power. Should I buy a skill? Nah, I already have enough of them. Maybe I should convert them into gold coins. 75K would give me around 375K gold coins. Adding with the remaining, my wealth would cross 500K, but what is the use of having wealth more than necessary? Then should I just save it until I increase my ether points to 100K? Nah, I had only roughly 2,000 now. It will take a long time unless I use high-quality crystals, but they are too rare. It is too wasteful to use them now. I'll have to wait until I upgrade my ether quality. How about an accessory like the Ring of Luck, something that boosts my stats? Mark fell into thoughts for a while. In the end, he decided to spend them. System, open the store. A holographic screen with 5 options appeared before him. Bloodline and unique weapons are still grayed out and are unavailable. He stared at the remaining 3, item, skill, attribute. He clicked on the item section right away. While scrolling down, he found something useful and bought them. Ding, you bought a basic strength pill. 500 credits have been deducted. Ding, you bought a basic strength pill. 500 credits have been deducted. Ding, you bought a basic strength pill. 500 credits have been deducted. Mark spent 5,000 credits to buy 10 basic strength pills. It was so that he can be qualified to handle the recoil force of the M134 minigun and Chimera SMG. Okay, next. He went to the accessories section. Originally, when he bought the Ring of Luck for the first time, he was still a civilian and didn't know how amazing the effects of those accessories were. Mark thought they were just too expensive. It was only after experiencing the percentage increase buff, he realized that they were indeed worth the price. Let's see. He started clicking on each item to check their effects. To increase magic power by a whole realm, I need at least 20% of boost in intelligence stat. The highest grade in the accessory section, Platinum, will give a 50% boost, but it would cost me 100,000 credits. I might need 31K credits more to buy it. Even if I exchange all the gold coins, I can't buy them now. I guess I'll have to adjust with the gold grade. 25% will improve my stats to 6.5. It won't affect my summons, but I can make it useful by using the M134 minigun and the attack helicopter. Amulet of Magic. Grade Gold. Description: an amulet that increases the magic power of the wearer. Effects 25%. Price 15,000 credits. After making a decision, he clicked on Purchase. Ding, you purchased an amulet of magic gold. 15,000 credits have been deducted. 54K left. He scrolled further, and at the bottom of the list of accessories, there was another item that interested him. Glove of Creation. Grade Gold. Description: a hand glove that increases the success rate of weapon creation. Effects 25%. Note, the percentage refers to the original success rate of the creation. Price 15,000 credits. So for ammo with a 60% success rate, I will get an additional 15%, huh? It's worth. After reading the details, he purchased it right away without a second thought. Ding, you purchased the Glove of Creation Gold. 15,000 credits have been deducted. No other accessory interested him at the moment. After a quick thought, he went back to the pills section. I can't depend on just improving magic power. I need to worry about defense too. For how long I will have to hide in the battle tank, helicopter, or in the store. One day, I might have to depend on myself too. Making a decision, he proceeded to buy defense stat pills. 5,000 credits for 10 basic defense pills, and 32,000 credits for 8 intermediate defense pills. With that, his vast amount of credits depleted to a mere 2,350. It's like he almost 350k gold coins just to improve the sturdiness of his body. Now that he was done with his shopping spree, he sat on the ground and took out the basic strength pills from the inventory. Just like the intelligence pill, the strength pill is also pitch black in color and is a little bit squishy like fish oil capsules. He swallowed one after another, 10 times in a row, raising his strength to 1.5 points. Strangely, those pills also raised his defense stat by 0.4. After that, he proceeded to swallow the defense pills. 10 basic defense pills improved his defense by 1 point, and 8 intermediate defense pills improved his defense by 2.4 points. In the end, it reached 5 points. Mark stood up on his feet and looked at his body. He expected something like abs, but there are no visible changes. When asked about the system, the latter replied that it is his bones and the inner parts of the body that became stronger, not the exterior skin. He couldn't understand why can't the system just give him a good physique, but then again, he wasn't the type to go and work out, and even if he wants to, this world doesn't have gyms. The old way of running around, swatting, crawling under the fences, push-ups, sparring, things like that are too military-like in Mark's opinion, so he just opts for the shortcut way, using pills to increase his strength. Fortunately, the system-made items don't have any side effects or requirements, so it was the most preferred way for Mark. After he was done with the pills, he wore the pendant with a black gem around his neck. He usually wears Daepao, Taoist robe, so it is easier to hide the amulet from being discovered. As for the black glove, it will attract attention if he wears it casually, so he kept it in the inventory and decided to use it only when he is working. Chapter 155. Mark becomes an instructor. A couple of days passed away in a blink of an eye. At the corner of the campsite, 3 Circle Realm soldier Lu Zhen was carrying an M99 rifle. About 10 soldiers and a few adventurers were gathered behind him and became spectators as he supported the gun's rear end on the shoulder and looked into the scope, much to Mark's displeasure. About a kilometer away from the campsite, a row of vases were placed with at least a 6 FT gap between each one. Mark crossed his arms to the chest and stared in silence. The aggressive captain, Wang Li, was standing beside him. She was carrying a rocket launcher in her arm. Lu Zhen clicked the trigger. Bang! Due to his superior physique, he easily withstood the recoil force as the 0.5 caliber bullet left the barrel of the rifle. However, he missed it. A disappointed look appeared on Lu Zhen. Wang Li furrowed her brows. There's a reason why a stand was provided, Captain Wang. Mark opened his mouth, addressing the woman standing beside him. It wasn't about weight but was about balance. The bullet just travels in a straight path. If the balance was tilted even a little, the accuracy will fall. Wang Li replied, one can only say that they mastered the weapon when they can use it in every position. Isn't that the case, Lord Lu? You cannot expect a bow to do the job of a sword. Mark countered her statement right away. All of the weapons I sell might be firearms, but unlike your weapons of the ancient era, each type of firearm has a different purpose. It wasn't just about the difference in the attack power. The weapon in your arms is used to cause things like explosions, destroy formations, kill a group of monsters in one strike, or take down the walls of the castle cities. And this weapon in Lu Zhen's hand is suited for assassination. Even though the damage of its bullet was only in 3 circle, it has penetrative properties. Even the 4-circle experts will die if they were struck at vitals. Wang Li wasn't the type to accept defeat in an argument, but she doesn't know anything about firearms and how they work. Mark has the most experience, so she could only accept his words and stay silent instead of making a fool out of herself. Seeing that he wasn't getting any response from her, Mark shifted his attention towards Lu Zhen and gave a command. Now, take the prone positioning as I have taught you. Lu Zhen lies down on his stomach with his body angled to the target about 30 degrees. His spine is perpendicular to the shoulders. As he was looking at the target through the rifle scope again, Mark suddenly shouted, "Don't dig your toes into the dirt. Are you trying to crawl or something? Your legs should be stationary. Understand?" Wang Lin and Lu Zhen flinched for a moment. The spectators just shook their heads as they were seeing this side of Mark for the past couple of days. Meanwhile, Lu Zhen answered, "I apologize, sir." Mark narrowed his eyes and shouted, "I told you no apologies, and don't be mute for God's sake." Louder. "Yes, sir, I'll correct it," Lu Zhen answered in a loud tone, feeling as if he went back to being a newbie when he first joined the southern troops. He corrected his posture before firing it at the target. This time, the vase he was aiming for was hit by the bullet, and the upper part was destroyed into pieces. Good again. Wang Li observed Mark's behavior from the corner of her eyes. As for Elena, she was just silently standing beside Mark, on the other side. She was always ready to guard him in case something unexpected happens, such as an ambush from an unknown enemy. After 11 more successive shots, Mark nodded. Good, you can now hit the targets from 1,000 meters away, at least 8 out of 10 times. Now, let's increase the distance to 1,500. Until the afternoon, he stood like a statue and sincerely trained Lu Zhen, following the agreement. After a lunch break, the training continued until the evening in the hot sun. Due to the raising of defense stat, his stamina also raised considerably. He stood straight for hours on the same spot and kept on correcting Lu Zhen whenever he made mistakes but never experienced fatigue. Of course, another factor also contributes to this, which is the feeling of happiness while training him. Mark couldn't help but remember his early days as a cadet in the military, where he was trained to death by the demon instructors. He was recruited as a weapon designer, but he was always trained extra hard in the name of protecting himself in case a war erupts. Back then, he cursed them with all his words, but now, he actually felt good when training a cadet. Soon, the sky darkened, the visibility wore off, and Lu Zhen could no longer train. Mark also felt that both of them need rest. So, he didn't train the soldier after the sunset and spent his time inside his tent by creating the required ammo. After having dinner, he slept soundly until the next morning and saw the soldiers are marching in lines towards somewhere. Turning his head to the left, he could see a giant dome-shaped blue barrier spanning over 2 kilometers in diameter. "It's time, huh?" Mark mumbled to himself before he went and met the second prince. Inside the tent, along with the prince, there are a few captains. "It's a good thing you are here, Lu Zhen," the second prince said as soon as he saw Mark enter the tent. He then added, "I was just about to order a soldier to wake you up." The others bowed as a greeting. "How long do we have until the dungeon break?" Mark responded with a question. "I guess about 1 hour," the second prince answered him honestly. I understand, I will get going. Mark nodded and followed the soldiers. After 15 minutes of walk, he reached the perimeter of the barrier and observed the portal, which has cracks all over it. Amid the gazes of everyone, Mark alone walked into the barrier, followed by Elena. He took out a 4FT stand from his inventory. He firmly set it up on the ground before taking out the M134 minigun and rocket launcher, giving the latter to Elena. Chapter 156, Might of M134 minigun. Boom, boom, boom. The spectators standing outside the barrier could just see the explosions, smoke, and the sounds of the gun firing. With the RPM of M134 minigun set about 3,000 beforehand, Mark would finish 1,000 rounds chain every 20 seconds. It would take another 5 seconds to set it. The beasts just ran here and there without even bothering where the attack is coming from. Mark fired randomly without any aim. Of course, with 50 rounds per second, even if he wants to aim at a particular thing, it's practically impossible unless that target is strong enough to face the mighty firepower of the minigun. Adding to him, Elena occasionally shot 110mm warheads, eradicating everything within 30 meters from the point of impact. Since normal weapons can also hurt her master and herself, she made sure to target the faraway targets. By the time Mark completed his 4th chain, the whole battlefield became silent. He doesn't even know when the dungeon overlord was dead. It was probably killed by Elena. But it doesn't matter. What matters is that the entire battle only lasted barely 2 minutes. Even the second prince had his mouth agape with incredulity. What the hell is that thing? Just how many attacks did it do? 1,000. His eyes fell on the bullet cases on the ground. No, the numbers appeared to be thrice than what I expected. Unlike others, his vision and senses were far superior. While he couldn't witness bullet firings properly, he saw how the beasts were killed. The rocket launcher is the one that killed the horned orc, the dungeon overlord, and its 4 generals, but he was more attracted towards the Gatling-style gun. It almost killed 80% of all the beasts that emerged from Dungeon Break. He ordered the 50 mages standing outside the barrier in every direction to remove the barrier, letting the smoke and the dust disperse. Then he ordered the water mages to clear the raging flames here and there, which were occurred due to the explosions of 110 heat warheads. Meanwhile, Mark was examining the barrels of the gun. His eyes were filled with curiosity. Oh, the heat is dissipated quickly. After firing 4,000 rounds non-stop, it is obvious that the barrels will be too hot, but Mark felt it is cool even upon touch. He wondered whether it is because of ether consumption. If one ether point will dissipate the heat and can act as the source of power, then it's more than enough worth to replace Yu's ring. I guess I did a good thing to trade it. Mark was satisfied with its power. At first, Mark intended to test fire the weapon in a dungeon by mounting it on the attack helicopter, but as the dungeon of Yannon was cleared and a dungeon broke on its way, he came up with a quick plan and asked the prince to set up a powerful barrier around so that they won't escape. But it was a risky move in the eyes of the prince. It's because those who enter the barrier cannot get outside. So, if he set up a barrier beforehand and Mark backs off at the last minute, then his soldiers would have to enter it to face the beasts. In case of an unexpected rise in the enemy's strength, the wounded soldiers couldn't run away, and he personally had to take care of the beasts by himself. A rank 5 dungeon is also considered a practical training session for the captains. If he goes inside to take care of everything, then it would be a waste of opportunity. This is the reason why the prince hesitated a bit, but eventually decided to take a leap of faith. And the result of that can be summarized in just one word: astonishing. Lu Zhen, the second prince, landed beside Mark in a single leap. "Your Highness, everything is finished." Mark let out a smile as he reported to the prince. He pointed at the hundreds of corpses. As previously agreed, the loot belongs to the southern troops. He had no use for those corpses, as there's only one fierce beast among them, and that too, only a 5-circle realm beast of advanced stage. The second prince took a glance at the minigun and said, "You are giving a surprise in our every meeting, Lu Zhen. This time it's this." While the prince's face appeared calm on the surface, Mark felt like the former was eyeing his weapon. Before the prince asked about its sale, Mark decided to disappoint him. He replied, "Just like the helicopter, this is a gold-grade ether weapon and is bound to my soul, Your Highness. It took years to make it. There's only one of its kind in the world, and I'm afraid there won't be another one." A gold grade, huh? The prince wasn't disappointed as Mark expected, but had a look of surprise on his face. "So, your firearms also have graded weapons too? Wait for a moment, your flying puppet. I mean that helicopter used some sort of energy to defeat the Headless Knight a while ago. Is that also a graded weapon?" "It's a crystal-graded weapon," Mark answered truthfully. By this time, keeping it a secret serves no purpose. "Crystal grade? Is there such a thing?" The prince was taken aback. "Your manufacturer is from the Phoenix Empire, right? Because here we don't have such a grade." Mark realized his mistake. He corrected his words. "In traditional terms, crystal means mid-quality semi-divine grade weapons. My manufacturer uses different terms than others. Like low-quality semi-divine weapons are termed as diamond and high-quality ones are termed ruby." At first, he doesn't know about those weapons. It was only after acquiring the divine sword he found it from the system. "Now it makes sense." The prince nodded in understanding. "The firearms are considered modern weapons as they were born just now, at least in the Phoenix Empire. So, it isn't a surprise if the weapon creators use terms different than traditional ones." Then a doubt appeared in his mind. The prince asked right away, "Then, you plan to give 3 semi-divine weapons to His Majesty?" Mark expected this question as soon as he revealed the might of the helicopter a couple of days ago. He shook his head. "No, they won't be graded weapons. Apart from the ether, everything would be the same." Now this is more like Lu Zhen. The prince thought in his head. In his eyes, the latter isn't the type to give away such free gifts to someone. Shang Wen wasn't acquainted with Mark for a long time, but somehow, he could understand his personality. He knew that if Mark gave away ether weapons, then he couldn't make a profit out of it. The so-called ammunition can only be sold at Genesis, and this is how he would continuously make profits for a long time, even after selling 3 of them to the Emperor. As the soldiers cleaned up the battlefield, Mark gets back to the tent and took a seat on the mattress. He opened the inventory and started calculating the losses. 42 warheads left in the inventory. That means 8 of them were fired by Elena, and I used 4,000 rounds of ammunition. Excluding the additional debt that occurred because of creation failure, 40 gold coins went away just like that in test firing. I guess bullets were too expensive." He put aside the matter and just lies on his back. "I wonder what is Alan doing right now?" System, connect with Alan's vision. A screen appeared before him right away. Mark's expression changed. Chapter 157. A customer with an unexpected surname. A few minutes earlier. Hanga District, Imperial City. Just like any other day, Alan was operating the store. A couple of customers were roaming around to check out the available weapons. This new upgraded store had a description attached with each section of weapons or explosives. So, if the customers know how to read, then Alan wouldn't have even needed to explain what it is. There was a separate chamber for the demonstration of low-end weapons like pistols and handguns, etc. The weapons were stored in a glass chamber for display where they can't be taken out without the permission of the owner, and the glass is very hard for the customers to even make a scratch with their strength was completely suppressed by ultimate defense. So, there's no way of theft even in the absence of Mark. As a result, Alan was having quite a rest this time. Unless they personally ask him to demonstrate or ask for an explanation about additional details, he would barely leave the counter. Around 8 o'clock in the morning, 2 customers made their way into the store. Like the mysterious lady who was visiting the store daily for the past couple of days, these 2 customers had a cloak around them and their head was covered by a hood. Maybe it's the effect of the cloak, or it's because Alan's strength is weaker. The android could neither see their faces nor could he see their details. But since they have nothing to do with him, Alan didn't care about it and behaved the same way as he does to every customer. "Welcome to Genesis Weapon Store." He bowed to them with a straight face. "May I know what you are looking for?" One of them placed a pouch full of glistening gold coins on the marble counter. "Information. It is something that might not be in public knowledge but isn't secretive either. What we seek is simple answers to confirm a couple of things that can be obtained from elsewhere too. In this, there are 500 gold coins. All of it is yours if you give what we want." As an android, Alan had a keen sense of hearing. Just from the tone of the customer, he estimated that the customer on the left is an old person, probably in his 70s unless he is some upper elite realm, sixth circle, or higher realm expert who has a long lifespan. While he doesn't have any use for the gold coins, Alan wanted to at least hear what these customers want to know. "Speak," he said to them. "If it is the information that I can provide you, we will talk about the payment." "That's all right." The old man in the hood nodded. He proceeded to ask, "We wish to confirm the identities of owner Lu's parents. Are they Lu Yimu and Yizexi? Our second question, did he grow up in the village of Haodeng? Our third question, did he have an eye-shaped birthmark behind his neck? Our fourth question, did he have an ice attribute? And finally, do you have a portrait of owner Lu from his young age, preferably from his teenage? Even if it is a current one, it will be helpful. If there isn't, you could just describe his features. Each question is worth 100 gold coins. How many of them can you answer?" Alan fell into silence. If the customer was seeking the answers, he would have rejected it, but it looked like the former already have answers and is just seeking confirmation. But at the same time, the matter is regarding the personal information of his master. He can't act in haste either. After thinking for a bit, he decided to take Mark's permission. Meanwhile, at the campsite hundreds of kilometers away from the Imperial City, Mark was watching the scene after connecting through Alan's vision. "I wonder what they are talking about." He cannot hear the audio, but for some reason, he felt those mysterious people in hoods are bad business. Mark sent a message to Alan just when the latter was about to connect to the system to send a message to the former, inquiring about the matter. Alan became very happy that his master was actually paying attention to him in secret. Lately, he started to feel that Mark was ignoring him ever since Elena came into their lives. Lin Zhu's constant reminders about it only made it worse. While there was no jealousy, he still felt sad sometimes that his master isn't depending on him like before. He doesn't want to be useless. But now that everything is clear, his mood improved a lot and explained everything in detail. After knowing the matter, a frown appeared on Mark's face. "So these people know Lu Zhen's past as well as know my attribute. The only places I use the ice attribute are the dungeon of Taslin and Kunyu Valley. It's unlikely Feng Wu's associates. Are they from the Jai clan?" "No, if they are from Jai clan, how would they know about my special birthmark that was at the bottom of my neck? Only during the shower or changing the clothes it will be revealed. Not to mention, they are asking about the younger Lu Zhen and are even willing to pay 500 gold coins. That is anything but normal." He thought about it deeply. Something clicked in his mind. Don't tell me their aim is just one question, and the remaining were just fake ones to hide their real objective. If that's the case, it's highly possible that they wanted to confirm about ice attribute. After pondering for a while, Mark made a decision and sent a message to the android. Upon receiving the order from his master, Alan looked at the hooded customers and opened his mouth. "I can answer all the questions, but I don't take free money like this. Buy 1,000 gold coins worth of weapons from our store. That is my condition. If you can't comply with the condition, you can leave and confirm your answers from elsewhere." Alan's reply took those two by surprise, making them think the same thing. What a loyalty! The money isn't a problem for them, but they didn't expect Alan would want the weapons to be sold, rather than earning a huge amount of money for himself. In their eyes, 500 gold coins were enough for a person like Alan to run away and start a new life unless there's a slave mark placed on his soul. Such forbidden techniques exist in some sects in the northern empires. They were banned in Phoenix Empire, but some were used in secret. But does Lu Zhen also practice such evil techniques? They had doubts about it. As they eventually agreed to the deal, Alan spoke. I don't know about the ice attribute. All I know is that my master possesses lightning attribute. The first 3 questions were true. As for the 5th question, no. We don't have any portrait in our home, but I can draw it for you. He took out pencil and paper from Mark's inventory and started sketching 15-year-old Lu Zhen. Unlike Elena, he can't connect with Mark's mind or can access his memories. All he could use was his imagination. Nevertheless, Mark as well as the other 2 customers were impressed to see Alan's skills. The level of detail was awesome. Mark saw that the final result on the paper is quite identical to Lu Zhen's appearance from his memories. Ding, Lan Jiang's affinity is increased by 1. The name was added to the list of exclusive customers. A Lan surname. Chapter 158, An Army of Robots. Lan surname. Mark never expected someone from his maternal side would come looking for him. As far as he knows, everyone in the Lan sect was killed in a dungeon break about 30 years ago. The only survivor is the queen consort Lan Jingyi. So, where is this Lan Jiang came from? And more importantly, why is he looking for Lu Zhen? Did this Lan Jiang know the relation between Lu Zhen and Lan Jingyi? Mark was racking his brains to figure out the intentions of these mysterious customers. He wanted Alan to stop those 2 and interrogate, but held the order in the tip of his tongue, as it will lose the integrity of his weapon store. Even the system wouldn't let him go unpunished if he were to attack his customers without the latter displaying any hostility against him or his store. So he let them go away without asking any questions after they happily fulfilled the end of their deal. The 2 of them bought nothing but grenades, which are as powerful as rank 4, each costing 100 gold coins. Placing them into the storage ring, Lan Jiang spoke to Alan, Our business is finished here. We'll be leaving. They turned around and left the store. After stepping outside, the other hooded fellow, who was silent until now, opened his mouth. Master, the identity has been confirmed. What should we do now? SHH. Lan Jiang gestured his disciple to be silent and started walking without giving any reply. They walked in silence until they left the street. Once confirming that no one is following them, Lan Jiang pulled down the hood, revealing an aged face, full of wrinkles and short white hair. He took out a paper from the storage ring and let out a wide smile as he looked at the sketch of a teenager. We have finally found the young master after 10 years of searching. Sect Master will be glad to hear this news. His disciple also pulled down the hood, revealing the face of a young man in his 20s. But Master, Lu Zhen doesn't seem to awaken the bloodline of Blizzard Pegasus. Wouldn't the 5th princess become a better choice for our task? Lan Jiang's facial expression immediately changed upon remembering Shang Jiao. He shook his head. No, she's the beloved daughter of Shang Fu. He won't hand over her, but we don't need to worry about it. We can use forbidden magic to forcefully awaken the bloodline within him. Everything would be fine then. I understand. The young man named Li Cheng nodded in response and continued to walk with his master. After a brief silence, he said, Master, this is really fate, isn't it? I mean, what are the odds that Lu Zhen would have been dragged to the public trial by his own siblings, and we attended it by pure coincidence? Yeah, Lan Jiang nodded in agreement. If not for that incident, we wouldn't have found that young master is living in Imperial City. Poor young Miss, Lan Jingyi. She probably doesn't even know that her child is living just a few kilometers away from her home. And the 2 of them eventually left the city without alerting anyone. Meanwhile, at the campsite in the southern Yuan province, Mark rested for a couple of hours before he resumed his training. It went on until the evening. After having a quick shower at the temporary bathhouse set up at the campsite for the soldiers, he returned to the tent and started thinking about various things. Okay, let's make a quick review about the arsenal. First of all, it's better to refrain from using the attack helicopter in the war against Jai Clan. I need to make an impression that I didn't participate in the battle directly. What I can provide the Kunyu bandits are the panzers, rocket launchers, and grenade launchers. But they won't be enough to win the war if the Church of Nuwa intervenes. I might either need to lend a howitzer or set Baltro on loose. The issue here is that howitzer is very risky to use even from far away, because the current one I have is quite similar to the battle tank that I used before. If I attain the loyalty of Baltro, all of this wouldn't be an issue. I can set it loose, and it will become easy to even defeat the Imperial army. But what can I do? 50 million gold coins of debt. I can't handle such a huge amount at the present stage. Wait a second. Something clicked in his mind and his eyes lit up as realization dawned upon him. I missed one other thing. The robots. They were different from firearms and no one knows that I can create them. Even if someone finds it, I can justify it with my profession as a weapon seller. Once the Western Yan is firmly taken away from the Phoenix Empire, depending on the actions of the Imperial Palace, I will continue being a weapon seller, playing both sides or just abandoning the Imperial City. If such a case arrives, I will move to Western Yan and fortify the Kunyu mountain range with panzers and howitzers, where the assistant robots will ride it. From there, I can go to Leon Empire through the seas and set up branches in major cities in case firearms are banned here. Either way, it isn't something that I need to think deeply about at present. Let's just go with the flow and see where it leads me. He put away the unnecessary thoughts aside and opened the creation panel gallery. Ding, purchases have been set to personal for the next 30 minutes. After having a talk with the system and setting it beforehand in order to save time from wasting it on every prompt, he proceeded to create the robots. But the system gave him another surprise, a pleasant one at that. Ding, you are about to create an assistant robot. Choose its profession. 1 butler, 2 fighter, 3 sales assistant. System, a little explanation about the sales assistant, please, he asked right away. Ding, the sales assistant robot is programmed to act as a storekeeper. It can count the money, explain to the customers about the weapons available to sell within the store, warn the customers about the rules and can take advanced orders from the customer. Ding, but it cannot punish the customers for breaking the rules and is also vulnerable to attacks. Only the owner has such privilege. I see, Mark nodded in understanding and clicked on one. He doesn't want to work with his android assistants for little things like cleaning, arranging, and stuff. Ding, assistant robot butler, has been successfully created. 200 gold coins have been added to the debt. After creating a few more butlers for his mansion house, he started creating fighters in large numbers. Ding, assistant robot fighter, has been successfully created. 200 gold coins have been added to the debt. Ding, assistant robot fighter, has been successfully created. 200 gold coins have been added to the debt. Ding, assistant robot fighter, has been successfully created. 200 gold coins have been added to the debt. Mark only stopped after creating about 100 of them, increasing his debt by 20,000 gold coins more. He then named each of them in the form of numerical. Chapter 159. The Cardinal is an elf. Just like the weapons, every assistant robot can be sold in the store for 200 gold coins each, but Mark didn't want to sell these ones despite the fact that they were only suitable to do menial tasks. He was worried that some people are smart enough to make them do other tasks than the ones they were designed for. For example, Mark himself wanted to use these rank 1 robots to operate the tanks in the war. All they need to know is how to drive and press the triggers to launch warheads. With his manpower, he hoped to create his own army, strong enough to wipe out any force that tries to go against him. He summoned 2 of them. One is a butler and the other is a fighter. They look a bit different from the one he had seen at the factory. The one at the factory was like a cute assistant robot one would see at the restaurants, but the one that was created is completely made of metal and is humanoid in appearance. Good morning, Master. What you would like me to do? Waiting for input. Both of them spoke to him at the same time, although with different gestures. The fighter robot greeted Mark by bending one knee and saluting with its hand on the chest part. On the other hand, the butler robot greeted with a deep bow. Looking at the 6FT robots, an inch taller than Mark, the latter mumbled. From top to bottom, they looked exactly the same as the robots from Avengers, although none have consciousness on their own like Elena and Alan. Maybe the system is like Ultron or something. Anyway, this one will do. He inspected one after another. Name R12. Type Fighter. Rank 1. Description: a fighter robot that can at least throw punches and kicks at the enemy. It consumes 1 kWh of power every hour when the switch is on. Battery capacity: 1000 kWh. Skills: conversion: the robot assistant can passively absorb the solar energy and recharge its battery. Name R1. Type Butler. Rank 1. Description: an assistant robot that will help its owner to do menial tasks such as cooking, cleaning, fishing, wood chopping, etc. Note: as an inbuilt option, the butler robot only knows how to clean the surfaces. The rest have to be taught. It consumes 1 kWh of power every hour when the switch is on. Battery capacity: 1000 kWh. Skills: conversion: the robot assistant can passively absorb the solar energy and recharge its battery. Okay, good. I guess I can proceed with the next step soon enough. These fighter robots will be the ones that will change the tide of the war at any time. 2 days later. I'll be leaving, Your Highness. Mark bowed slightly to the second prince. The latter nodded in response. There was an attack helicopter parked behind them. Elena was sitting inside the pilot's seat. He got inside and closed the door. The helicopter started to fly higher before disappearing into the horizon. Not that they flew for very long because of less fuel. Mark only opts for this route to look cool while leaving. There's also a howitzer he wanted to keep a secret from the prince. After traveling like 100 kilometers, emptying the fuel energy by 98%, they got down and traveled in a howitzer. Meanwhile, at Western Yan's capital city, the troops were being assembled at the castle where Jai clan currently resides. Inside the castle, elders of the clan were gathered for a meeting. An archbishop from the Church of Nuwa was sent to this emergency meeting as a representative to resolve the situation. You cannot talk me out of this, Archbishop Ma. Today, I will destroy those rats once and for all. An elderly fellow is fuming in anger, momentarily forgetting the status of Ma Yingling. But the archbishop was patient since the matter is serious, and the person beside him is a seven-circle realm expert who is known for having short temper. Ma Yingling spoke. Grand Elder Jai, I will be straight with you. Kunyu mountain range is vast. There are thousands of caves. It is difficult to find their hideout even if the whole imperial army is deployed. Moreover, this region used to be in the control of the Feng clan for a long time. We don't know how many spies are located even within the walls of this castle, much less in the city. If the enemies find out about your movements, they wouldn't hesitate to cut down your child's head as they have warned. Young Master Jai isn't just your son, but he is also an important knight for us to gain a foothold in the imperial city. Cardinal would want you to treat this matter without any violence. The archbishop's advice made the grand elder angry. He slammed the table. So, you want me to empty our entire treasury to hand over 500,000 gold coins to those bastards? There's no way in hell I would give away half of our Jai clan's wealth. No, that's not what I meant. The archbishop was calm. Our cardinal just doesn't want to spill the blood of the soldiers unless it's necessary. From what we know so far, he was abducted at the dungeon, but it is far away from even the Kunyu mountain range. The rebels didn't have the courage to step out of their fortress. So, we can be assured that someone or some people from the outside are powerful enough to wipe out 4 of our elite members and abduct young Master Guangli. If we can find out their identity and capture them, it will lead us straight to the hideout. I ask you to be patient for a while. Our investigation team is already doing everything it can to gather the clues of the culprit. The Grand Elder of the Jai clan became silent for a while. Eventually, he nodded. "Fine, 3 days. I'll wait for 3 days. After that, we will go to war." I showed them mercy for a whole decade, but no more. After convincing the Grand Elder of Jai clan, the Archbishop returned to their headquarters. A young man was waiting for him in the Cardinal's chamber. He had long golden hair, pointy ears, emerald-colored eyes, and was charming. It's not a secret that he is an elf. The Archbishop greeted on one knee. "Your Eminence." The young man nodded with a smile. "Stand up, Archbishop Ma." This 20-odd-year-old young man is none other than the Cardinal, who was blessed by the goddess Nuwa. Originally a prince of Leon Empire, Xi'an was given to the Church of Nuwa as an offering by his father for removing a powerful curse on Grand Emperor, retired Emperor, although it was mostly due to the fact that the elders wanted to get rid of him as soon as his elven mother died in childbirth. The Archbishop recited everything that happened at the Jai Castle. Xi'an fell into thoughts for a while. In the end, he gave an order: continue with the investigation. Meanwhile, send a letter to the Imperial Palace. Let the 5th Princess raise a ruckus and keep those bandits occupied. "But, Your Eminence, what if they kill the boy?" The Archbishop displayed his worry, to which the young Cardinal answered, "That's why we'll offer the ransom they demanded the Jai clan, but will not hand it over right away." Chapter 160. Nai Raogang at the Dwarven Kingdom. To the east of the Bloodhill Forest, a 932,566 km of area separates the Phoenix Empire in the south and the Leon Empire in the central region of the eastern continent. This mountainous range at the equator was inhabited by one of the 6 intelligent humanoid creatures known as dwarves. The other 5 are the elves, werewolves, vampires, dragons, and humans. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, before the age of ether, back when humans were nothing but cavemen who are the bottom of the food chain, beasts would be seen everywhere on the Medelia's Earth. The dragons are the overlord of the world, but they don't meddle with anyone unless they were hungry. The majority of the time they will just sleep, but when they wake up, they cause nothing but destruction. That's why ancients probably say, "Never tickle a sleeping dragon." The vampire and werewolves were the mutated race, which evolved from primitive humans. The vampires look tall and skinny, have long white hair, pale skin, amber eyes, fangs, and bat-like wings. Their appearance was quite elegant when compared to the rest of the creatures back then. The werewolves, on the other hand, looked like furred humans but with buffed bodies and enhanced physical abilities. Both of them were vastly at odds with each other from the beginning, as if they were natural enemies. Maybe it's due to the fact that they have particularly long lifespans. One can even say they are like immortals when compared to the other creatures. With the intelligence of humans and the power of beasts, both of them are the perfect sentient beings on the planet, according to their beliefs. Naturally, they sought lordship, the authority to rule. However, there's but one slight problem to their conquest. 2 other races formed their own kingdoms long ago. Being one with nature and able to use natural energy, the elves built their villages in forests while being constantly alert against predators. The dwarves, on the other hand, didn't have enough combat ability to face the wild beasts, so they put their focus on building fortress cities around the mines. The mountains act as their natural defense. With their manufacturing ability, the dwarves made bows and swords for the elves, while the latter swore that they will protect them from any invasion. But due to one attack from a dragon on one fortress, everything changed. The dragons love gold and treasures, and the dwarves have loads of them. The nearby elves couldn't face them, so they backed out. The 20 or so dwarves became homeless and wandered around to find a new home. In the end, they encountered a village full of humans. The dwarves got shelter and food. They decided to live for a while. Eventually, they found out that humans are weak in combat, have low longevity, and low intelligence, but have 2 amazing capabilities. One is that they can reproduce at an alarming rate, for they don't have any mating season like the beasts. The other is that they can somehow absorb the energy present in the spirit beasts, Although 9 out of 10 times, they will fail to become stronger due to not knowing how to refine that energy. The dwarves gave weapons to humans to empower their defense. Slowly, the time changed. The intelligence of humans grew leaps of bounds as their brains developed due to evolution. Once they grasped the power of ether, they became far stronger than others. They grew so strong that the 20-odd dwarves even got back their kingdom after the dragon was slew, and the term dragon slayer emerged. Over time, the relations between the race of dwarves and humans improved on a worldwide scale. The vampires, werewolves, and the elves were forced to flee the eastern continent. The pure dragons became extinct. The wild beasts were either destroyed or imprisoned, while the dwarves were allotted a piece of land to comfortably rule until the end of time. A sacred pact was made between the human rulers and the dwarven rulers more than 10,000 years ago, where no human emperor or king can ever set to conquer the land of dwarves. In return, the dwarves cannot deny the requests to make weapons for the humans as long as they were paid proper compensation for the task. The dwarves cannot also side with any human empire and will continue to stay neutral. The region is peaceful for the past 10 millennia, no matter which dynasty rules what land. At the dwarven fortress city of Bernladure, a carriage pulled by 2 rhinos of 4-circle realm slowly entered through the east gate and was escorted by an official of the city. Upon reaching the Duke's residence, the vehicle stopped and 2 men stepped down from it. The official took them inside and let them meet the Duke who rules the city and the surrounding areas. There were a total of 9 regions present in the land of dwarves, each one ruled by a duke. All of them in turn were vassals for the king. "Welcome to Bernladure, Lord Nye." Duke Rundrock greeted the 2 guests from the Nye clan. As everyone took a seat and the guests were served wine, the Duke asked the reason for their visit. The revenue minister, Nye Raoging, and his brother, Nye Hong, looked at each other before the latter took out a revolver from his storage card and handed it to his elder brother. Nye Raoging handed it to the Duke. "Lord Rundrock, we want to know about this." The dwarf observed the pistol curiously. As he caressed it, he spoke in admiration. "The craftsmanship is marvelous. The one who made it must be at least a master blacksmith. I have never seen a weapon like this in my life. What is this called?" A trace of surprise appeared on Nye Raoging and Nye Hong, for they didn't expect this master blacksmith had never seen it. Nye Raoging cleared his throat and answered, "This is called revolver. It is one of the models of a weapon known as firearm. They are recently sold in a weapon store. We don't know who the manufacturer is, and neither can we afford to offend that weapon seller. So we came here if you can shed some light on us." As the revenue minister of Phoenix Empire turned towards his brother, the latter proceeded to take out a 9 bullet. Nye Raoging took back the revolver and opened the cylindrical chamber. He gave a demonstration by putting a bullet, then dragging back the hammer before clicking the trigger while aiming upwards. Bang! The sound of the gunshot reverberated across the hall, making a few dwarves outside flinch in surprise. Meanwhile, the Duke's eyes are widened. Realization dawned upon him. He glanced at the bullet case in Nye Raoging's hand as the latter opened the cylindrical chamber and removed the cartridge. "That thing you put inside this weapon, do you have more?" he suddenly asked Nye Raoging. Nye Raoging handed a bullet to the dwarf, who then crushed it with his fingers, revealing a brown-colored smokeless powder. I see," he mumbled. The 2 guests of the Nye clan realized that this dwarf was familiar with the powder. Nye Raoging asked him, "Do you know what that powder is?"